Kesarah might have guided Ka out on the dance floor, but once there it seemed that he didn't need much coaxing. The music was slow and soothing, and with his hands on her hips they danced back and forth with the other dancers, turning and twirling gently together. Kesarah smiled coyly at Ka as the dance partners were traded, and she found herself in the arms of another dark-haired human, this one very finely dressed. "There are not many non-humans here," he remarked as he guided Kesarah across the dance floor, "and none as beautiful as you." Kesarah smiled, glancing over at Ka, who was moving with his own dark-haired partner in parallel to herself and the man. "You think I'm that beautiful?" She felt his breath against her neck as he replied, causing a shiver to run through her like you. "I certainly see no other I might be speaking to." She smiled, wanting to turn to face him as the dancers twirled. She got a good look at the man who was her partner. He was certainly handsome, taller than Ka, with very chiseled features. His dark, intelligent eyes seemed to bore into her, and Kesarah had the distinct impression that he looked hungry. It wasn't an unpleasant sensation to see desire in his eyes. It was an intensity she could relish. She continued to dance with them, twirling and stepping gracefully until the partners were again changed. She found herself once more in Ka's arms. "Welcome back," he said with a slight smile. "Did you miss me?" she asked playfully. "Perhaps," he replied. "It's nice to see you enjoying yourself." She looked up at him coyly, her braintails twirling as he spun her around, and they came close together, her hip pressed against his body as they walked across the dance floor. "Jealous?" she purred. He laughed lightly, his dark blue eyes sparkling with amusement as he let her step out from him again before pulling her back. "Should I be?" Kesarah grinned at him, biting her lip as she giggled. "You sound like a jilted lover." "Well then," Ka said as the dance came to a close and he gave her one last graceful twirl, "I suppose I had better take a step back before I create a scandal." Kesarah frowned as Ka stepped away from her, placing his hands behind his back and bowing his head. What was he doing? Her answer came a moment later as a familiar voice spoke from behind her. "You're one of the Jedi who is here to witness the coronation." Kesarah turned to find that her other dance partner had found her again and was gazing at her with the same intensity as before. "What if I am?" she asked coyly. "Then it is very good to meet you, and a pleasure to see that even the Jedi can enjoy themselves," he replied as he took her hand and kissed it. "I'm Amura Vranik." "Kesarah Diligus," she replied with a faint blush at his manners and the touch of his lips on her skin. "I heard," he said with an intimate smile. "You made quite the entrance. Where is your companion?" Kesarah turned to look for Ka, but her partner had seemingly vanished into the crowd. She frowned. Where he had gone to now? What, was he suddenly shy around new people? "It's no matter," Emir Vranik said as he took Kesarah by the waist. "I enjoyed our brief dance. Would you grace me with another?" "Of course," Kesarah said eagerly as she allowed herself to be guided out into the center of the dance floor. "Excellent," he said, clasping her hand in his. "Just a moment. I think something a little more lively would be better suited." Kesarah frowned, watching as her new friend left and approached the orchestra. He leaned in and murmured something to the maestro, who nodded. Then he turned to Kesarah, who was eyeing him curiously. "They do requests?" she asked coyly. "For me they will," he replied. She smiled up at him with an accusing air. "You're not telling me something." "Perceptive," he replied. "I wonder if you can figure out what it is. You are a Jedi, after all." Kesarah gave him a coy scowl as she placed her hands in his, and the music began. "We'll see." Ka watched as Kesarah was led through the dancers, who kept a noticeable distance between her and her partner to a lively tune that was far more intense and lively than the rather dull serenade that his own dance had been graced with. From what he could see, Kesarah was the only Twi'lek at the event, making her already striking appearance all the more singular. "Your friend is very beautiful." Ka blinked and turned to look at the woman standing next to him. She was taller than he was and held herself regally. The deep blue and purple dress she wore was elegant rather than eye-catching. She gazed at Ka with piercing blue eyes framed by blonde hair tied in an elaborate bun resting at the base of her neck. "She is," Ka confirmed. The woman looked back to Kesarah and her dance partner. "I did not know the Jedi could be so lovely, or so oblivious." Ka gave an apologetic smile and shrugged. "She is different and far more free-spirited than most of us." "You know her so well?" the woman inquired. "No," Ka answered with a shake of his head. "I just understand her." "I see," the woman said as she took her leave. "Be sure that you ensure she understands as well, Knight Han. I would hate to see either of you end up in the middle of this." "We'll be careful," Ka replied with a bow. He turned his attention back to Kesarah as she was spun and twirled around her partner, her cape and braintails spinning around her as he caught her and pulled her close, hugging her body close to him, their faces almost touching. She was smiling, and Ka could see her braintails shivering with pleasure. She was certainly enjoying herself, and he couldn't fault it as he came to join them. "There you are," Kesarah said gaily as she spied him. "I was going to introduce you earlier." She turned to her dance partner. "Himura Vranik, this is Kahan, Jedi Knight." "An honor," Himura Vranik said, his intense gaze never leaving Ka's features as he gave a slight bow at the waist. "The honor is mine," Ka replied as he gave a deeper bow. "It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Your Highness." Himura Vranik smiled. "So you knew." "It is rather hard to conceal," Ka said as he too smiled politely. Your Highness? Kesarah asked in confusion as she looked first at Ka and then at her dance partner, her leku twitching in distress. You're not. I'm afraid I am, Murvranik replied. I am one of the heirs apparent. Kesarah rounded on Ka, her temper flaring. You let me dance with him? You seem to be enjoying yourself, Ka replied. It seemed a shame to spoil your fun. Kesarah bristled, turning next on Murvranik. And you, she snapped, heedless of the man's rank. I don't like you very much at the moment. He bowed. My apologies if I've offended you, Knight Diligus. You'll excuse me, though. I have to attend to official business. Kesarah gave a snort and crossed her arms over her chest, turning her eyes on Ka, who was smiling pleasantly. I am not happy with you either. Get that goofy grin off your face. Ka's chuckle did nothing to alleviate Kesarah's embarrassment over the situation, and she turned on him haughtily. Stop laughing! It is not funny! I think it is very funny, Ka said, and equally serious since we're not supposed to show favoritism towards any of the heirs, but rather support whoever ascends the throne. I know that, Kesarah snapped, feeling entirely foolish. I want a drink, she declared, and you're going to get it for me. Ka bowed courteously. Of course, I'll be right back. As he left, Kesarah fumed. She hated being made a fool of, especially in this circumstance. Not that she hadn't enjoyed dancing with, what was he, Prince Imura Vranik? It was just that she felt as if she'd been manipulated, and Ka had let it happen. See if she was nice to him again. When he returned with her drink, she downed it in a hurry, feeling the buzz rush through her body before she handed him the glass again. Another, she demanded. Are you sure? He asked her. She glowered at him haughtily. You weren't worried about me when I was dancing with one of the heirs. I don't see why you should be worried now. He sighed, smiling at her apologetically. Kesarah, I'm sorry I let you do that. It was wrong of me. It certainly was, Kesarah snapped. Now get me another drink. He sighed, shaking his head as she asked, returning moments later with the requested drink, which in turn vanished as swiftly as the first. When Kesarah asked for a third drink, Ka reluctantly obliged yet again. However, on the fourth request he refused, earning himself an ire-filled glare. You are not my nanny, Kesarah fumed as she took her glass and stormed past him. I will enjoy myself as much as I like. So saying, Kesarah went to the droid serving drinks to the guests, and proceeded to acquire more of the expensive and high-quality wine. When Ka finally worked up the nerve to cut her off, she was well and truly drunk, her voice slurred and her movements wobbly, as she spoke to the other guests in giggly fits that came in bursts. Come on, Kesarah, he urged as he took her by the arms, handing her glass to the serving droid. Let's get you home. I don't like you, Kesarah giggled as he guided her towards the exit. You're mean. Yes, Ka said with an indulgent smile. I'm a terrible, mean Jedi. And you're going to let me take you home. She giggled again, leaning back against him. What about the handsome prince? Is he coming too? I'm sure he'd love to come with us, Ka said with a shake of his head. Now come on, let's go. Kesarah leaned against him woozily, a pleased smile writ across her features as she nuzzled into him. I had so much fun, she murmured cheerfully. I feel great. Ka sighed, excusing both of them as he guided Kesarah past the other guests and maneuvered up the stairs and eventually to their speeder.